I am Advocate Sulaiman Bhimani, and I extend a warm welcome to each one of you on the Citizen Justice Forum video channel. Our mission is to empower Indian citizens by sharing knowledge about the fundamental rights which is being given in the Constitution of India. If you are joining us for the first time, remember to subscribe and click the bell icon and select all to receive notification whenever we upload a new video or go live. Sharing this video with your contacts and friends would be highly appreciated. आदाब, नमस्कार, सत श्री अकाल दोस्तों, आप सभी का स्वागत है सिटीजन जस्टिस फोरम के इस वीडियो चैनल पर। हमारा मिशन भारतीय नागरिकों को उनके अधिकारों के बारे में जागरूक करना है जो भारतीय संविधान ने उनको दिए है। अगर आप हमारे चैनल पर पहली बार आए हो तो कृपया सब्सक्राइब करें और बेल आइकन को क्लिक करके सबको चुनें ताकि हम जब भी नए वीडियो अपलोड करते हैं या ऑनलाइन जाते हैं तो आपको उसकी सूचनाएं मिलती रहेगी। हमें बहुत खुशी होगी अगर आप ये वीडियो आपके संपर्क और दोस्तों के साथ साझा करेंगे। आज का विषय है एथिकल हैकिंग और साइबर क्राइम। I recently watched a web series Jamtara on the OTT platform Netflix, and it was shocking to see school-going children taking classes to imitate the employee of credit cards service providers. उसके अंदर वहां पे स्कूल के बाद में वो बच्चे लोग वहां पे एक क्लासेस चलती थी, वहां पे वो लोग को ट्रेनिंग देने में आती थी कि अगर आपको कॉल सेंटर में अगर काम मिलता है तो आप किस तरह से बात करोगे, और लड़का लड़की की आवाज में बात निकालता था। यानी ये दो सीरीज में बना है जामतारा का, और इट वाज वेरी शॉकिंग टू सी दैट वो लोग किस तरह से आपको फोन करते हैं, आपका क्रेडिट कार्ड से आपका जो सीबीबी नंबर है वो ले लेते हैं और ओटीपी भी ले लेते हैं, जो वन टाइम और ऑफर देते हैं जिसमें स्कूल टीचर भी बेवकूफ बनते हैं, वकील भी बने हैं बेवकूफ, और जजेस भी बने हैं, और बहुत से टाइम पे तो पुलिस डिपार्टमेंट वाले को भी उन्होंने चुना रहा है। तो ये सब चीज जो है वो साइबर रिलेटेड है, और आज का ये टॉपिक जो है, और वो इस तरह से काम करते थे कि आपको पता भी नहीं चलेगा कि आप किस चक्कर में आप फंस रहे हो और आपका कितना लॉस हो रहा है। और आज की तारीख में जो वायरल और ट्रेंडिंग न्यूज जो है और सोशल मीडिया के ऊपर है, द सुप्रीम कोर्ट वर्डिंग ऑन द इलेक्टोरल बॉन्ड स्कीम। Joining us today are Advocate Vinod Chabra, author of the Czech Law Reporter, and Mohammad Afzal, a well-known campaigner for the consumer rights, who will co-host this webinar and introduce the speaker for the today's session. Will address the question and answers towards the end to free of you.
Cybersecurity professional Mr. Mohammad Naqvi, a dedicated cybersecurity researcher at Offensive Security, bringing a wealth of expertise to the field. As an offensive security certified professional, he champions the fortification of cyber defenses for organizations and individuals. Mohammad's proficiency extends beyond certification, with multiple victories in hack-the-box tournaments, underscoring his practice prowess in solving real-world cyber challenges. In addition to his role at OffSec, Mohammad is a prolific contributor to the cybersecurity community. He authors insightful blogs focusing particularly on the nuisances of inbox zip, and shares meticulously crafted exploits for GitLab on his GitHub profile. As the lead creator of Cyber Inops on YouTube, Mohammad specializes in Mac OS exploitation techniques, providing cutting-edge insight and real-world scenarios for a diverse audiences of cybersecurity professionals. His passion for exploring the intricacies of both Windows and Mac security sets him apart as a dynamic and forward-thinking cybersecurity personnel. मैं आगे without wasting any further time, I would like to Mr. Naqvi to proceed.
Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to thank them for bringing me on here to provide me a platform to educate our youth and the adults of India about cybersecurity. So, first, I'll start with what is a hacker. It is a for people it seems to be a derogatory term, like something very negative or a bad person. Well, that's not the reality. So there are like two types of hackers. There are the good guys and the bad guys. Bad guys are the ones who want to gain access to your information without your permission and exploit it for their own benefit. For example, someone impersonating to be working at a bank, requesting your debit card or credit card details, and then using it for their own benefit, for like purchasing stuff or withdrawing your own money. And the good guys are the ones who are basically hacking or testing the security of a system or a network or an office environment to see how secure it is. And after they've like tested and found some loopholes or like what is the vulnerability, like how it can be exploited, the good guys help the people working at the office or on a network to patch these. So basically, they help the defenders to like help avoid future attacks. So what is it? So then we have ethical hacking. So ethical hacking is there are like different roles in it, where there are like two major roles, which is the blue team and the red team. Blue team are basically defenders who are constantly monitoring the network. For example, I'm at an office and I am constantly checking who is running what command or what application on the office's computers. And if I notice anything suspicious or anything malicious in the network, I will start working on removing or mitigating this, since it could be a risk to the it would be a risk for the company's confidential data being leaked or being hacked and stuff like that. Then we have the red teamers, who are basically the attackers, but they're good guys. Let's not make the hacker term very negative. And there are like ethical and unethical. So okay, so the red teamers, who are the good guys, they are attempting to attack a network. So, for example, let's assume there's an office building with two security guards posted at a gate. So now these attackers will attempt to invade this office while they're like impersonating to be an employee or whatever their methods are. And if they're able to breach the defensive measures implemented by the officer security, then they've basically done a good job since they found a loophole. So then they report it to the defenders, which are, let's say, those two security officers. Then they implement some more preventive measures on like how can we avoid this in the future from happening. This will like start help them solidify like how can we improve our defenses and eventually become like keep it. And this is a never-ending process. So companies usually do this like every year. They have an audit and they have an internal assessment where the attackers come, they keep testing the security, then the defenders will implement like more preventive measures for these things. So it's a never-ending process. It keeps on happening since the technology as well keeps on advancing at a rapid stage. So now, regarding the security awareness, so today's youth are not really, you know, they're not really serious about their own personal data. For example, I've seen this happening. Like there are people who are standing at a railway station, for example, and some person would come up to them and ask, "Can I please use your phone? I've lost my phone. I want to call someone from my family at my home. Can you please help me?" So then they unlock the phone, they open the phone app, and they simply hand it to them. Now here's the problem. So that person, within a few seconds, can basically hack that phone by installing an APK, an Android packaged application. And they can simply do that by visiting a link and then installing that app. And the person who's just standing, they would just think that they're dialing the number. Here's where the security is. Now, once they've been hacked, what access this person have? So he hands him the phone back, and then the other person heads back home. Now, on his home, he has his own PC. Now, within this PC, this person has now access to everything on the victim's phone. So just me handing the phone, now he has access. Now, what access does he have? So let's say I have a bank application installed on my phone and also my SIM card through which I receive various OTPs for my payment. So this person now has access to my banking account and also my other Gmail accounts that I might have logged in on this phone, as well as access to the OTP. So now this person can basically, let's say they've stolen my debit card, they're trying to pay for something like worth 1 lakh or 2 lakhs, and then the OTP gets sent on my phone. Now, I'm unaware that my phone is hacked, but this person has access to the messages. So they just retrieve that OTP and use that to like make the payment succeed. So this is just one simple example of how critical it can be. And this is not the most critical one. The other scenario is where you're working at a company and they usually have separate phones for the employees, which they hand out depending on the company. But let's say you're logged in to the office chatting applications on your phone. So now that's where so now if you're hacked, the hacker has access not just to only your accounts, but to the chatting application of your office. Now, what can they gain from this? So they can basically know what's the company's working on, what are the chats, and using this, if the hacker leaks this to the public, this can be pretty damning for the company, since it would damage their reputation a lot, which would result in a lot of companies not engaging with them, since this can be it can be a pretty shaming thing for them. Like being hacked is a very, for you say, like it damages your reputation. So it can be really bad for the company and even bad for and much worse for the employee who got hacked. So these are some simple examples. Now, how can you avoid getting hacked? Like, what's a way of being out? So the first thing is that you should keep yourself aware about what's happening in the cyber landscape. Now, how can you do this? Stay up to date on the new cybersecurity news. For example, a breach happened in Aadhaar network. You should be aware of this. So last year, there were like 859 million users' data from Aadhaar was leaked, including the Aadhaar numbers, their name, addresses, and everything was leaked, and it was being sold on the dark web. Now, this is pretty serious. This is the Indian government we're talking about that got hacked, not just some random private company. If the Indian government applications or company or sectors are being hacked, that's pretty scary for us. Since in the world of cyber warfare, the other countries like China, Pakistan, if we engage in a cyber warfare with them, it can be pretty risky for us. For example, they're able to hack our gas pipeline systems, which are most probably working on a computer or on a network. So if they're able to hack that, they can basically shut it down or do something very malicious as well. Now, the other thing on how can you keep yourself aware. So we all are tech savvy these days. We all have laptops, computers, phones, and stuff. So we should also invest some time into being aware of the vulnerabilities or hacks that are happening or leaks that are constantly happening. Also, majority of you who are watching are most likely using the same password on all their websites. So this is a very silly mistake that even I've made in the past when I was young. But now I'll explain to you how this can be problematic. So let's say you've registered on some random website where you had to fill a survey or something and you use the same password. Now, let's assume this website wasn't malicious and they got breached and all the passwords and emails and everything got leaked. Now, what would happen is hackers, they basically look or purchase these leaks from the dark web. Now, once they have access to that, they will now attempt using those basically leaked data. Now they have their password and email. They don't know that you're using the same email and password on like Gmail or Netflix or blah, 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 different stuff. So now they'll basically use that leaked data and try to like authenticate on these accounts. So since you're using the same password on all these accounts, they'll be able to log in every single one of them. Now, there's one simple mitigation that you can implement for this right now, rather than going and changing all the passwords and doing that. So there's two-factor authentication, which I believe some of you might be using, and some of the apps do by default like want you to like please use two-factor authentication for your own safety, which is basically, for example, I log in into my Gmail, I get a code on my phone, and I have to enter that code, and only then I'll be able to log in. So even if a hacker has my password and he's attempting to log in into my Gmail, he will get a notification like please enter the security authenticator code, and he doesn't have that, so he won't be able to log in. So that's one of the good things, which is factor authentication. So the other thing now, why not mitigate at the first step, which is why are you using the same password at all the websites? Is usually because you don't know where to store your passwords. It's insanely impossible of like storing complex passwords in your own mind. So that's where password managers come in. Now, how does password managers help you? So password managers basically allow you to generate some random strong password separately for each website. So each website you log in on or register on has a different password, and it is a very complex one. So even if it ends up getting leaked, the password that they attempt to log into your other accounts won't really work since the other accounts are using a different password. So you should implement a password manager in your own, I would say, these work life. Like you should have it on your phone. So it makes it very simple. The other preemptive measures is constantly being aware of the techniques hackers are using. You can read these on Google itself. You can just search a Portswigger Daily Swig News, which will they usually post every week on like new cybersecurity breaches or exploits that are happening. So this will help you like also understand how a hacker thinks. It's obviously you can't know everything, but the ability to think like a malicious person. For example, I visit a website. I visit a website and I see something really weird. Like for example, they're selling iPhones for like $200 or $300, and they're asking me to register and enter my card details. Now this sounds like really suspicious. Why would someone be selling something that's worth thousands of dollars for just $200 or $300? Now that's one thing where you must have this awareness. Like no one's giving out free stuff as well. There are a lot of people who fall for this trap. For example, they say you've won like 3 lakh or 4 lakh, and could you please like send us your like he mentioned he watched Jamtara. So in that there's one scene where they basically tell the person, the victim basically, that they've won 3 lakh, and to get 3 lakh, please provide us with your debit card and the CVV behind it. And the person, he's so excited, he has lost his wit and his sense of what's right and wrong, and he just simply provides it to him. And even after that, they even provide the OTP without questioning. This is all because this person was not aware. He just thought, like, there's nothing wrong with me providing the debit card and CVV information and my OTP. Like, so this is where we need to have the technical knowledge of like what hackers do and how to avoid falling into these scams. So there are plenty of phishing campaigns as well you can find on Google, which you can keep doing, like at least do one per month. So that way you're aware, okay, so these are new techniques which hackers are using to perform phishing attacks. Phishing attacks basically where they call you up or they basically send you a link in Gmail through which they're trying to gain access to your information. For example, there's I received a mail like, can you please reset your Google password? Your Google password was leaked. While it's not actually from Google, but the email appears to be from Google. And once you click that link, it redirects you to a website which looks very similar to Google. But the thing here is, this isn't Google. Like, okay, there are some really unaware person. They don't even look at the URL that they're visiting. Once they're on that website, they just see, okay, yeah, this is Google. It looks like Google. So they enter their previous password, which allows them, and even after after they've entered the previous password, now there's a bypass for two-factor authentication as well. So once they've entered the previous password, they said submit. Now it asks the user, can you please enter your two-factor authentication? So the hacker, when the person entered their old password while changing the password on this malicious website, now they're being prompted to provide a two-factor authentication. So now he provides the two-factor authentication. Now the hacker has access to their old password as in the legit password that they're using to log in into their Gmail, as well as the two-factor authentication code. Now using these two things, they can simply access the Gmail account, and then it's just game over for the person. Since once you're hacked, like you can go and change your passwords and stuff, but until then the hacker will have access to all your emails and stuff, or might even send out further phishing mails to other people, or they might even have the intent of damaging your reputation by sending something ludicrous or something very shameful to you. People do this, like they specifically target and try to like make them ashamed of things they've done, and like for example, please pay us this amount or we'll like delete your videos as these stuff. A lot of people do get these mails, so these should be avoided. A very easy or simple way to avoid these phishing mails is simply just check where it's from. Like check the from mail. If it's from a trusted domain, for example google.com, then you can, okay, you can trust this. But before even visiting, or well, Google won't really make you visit some suspicious website which is not registered under their domain as in google.com. That's a domain. So if it redirecting you to something like not google.com, that's totally not Google. So you shouldn't visit websites like that. Now, the other thing is how can you make a career in cybersecurity? So it's not something really new or an upcoming field like AI is. Cybersecurity has been in India for a while now. There are lots of jobs, and they're still hiring a lot of professionals in this field. And the limit of how much you can make is there's no actually limit to it because it all depends upon how good you are. You could be making 30,000 per month, or you could be making 2 lakhs, 4 lakhs, 6 lakhs per month that is in India. And if you want to go outside or work in a remote based job for a company in Germany or US, you could be making much more. So how do you make a career in cybersecurity? The first thing is that you must have fundamental knowledges of how does a computer work. I'm not saying that you must be a professional in coding, but at least have simple understanding. For example, when you boot your system up, like what's happening, like how does the operating system load up, what operating system is, how is the computer getting input from a keyboard, or these are simple fundamentals. If you have no technical knowledge, I believe we do learn these things in school and colleges. So, but after that, if you already have that fundamental base, you can proceed on to by doing courses on cybersecurity thing. So there are different courses. I would highly recommend not falling for the ones that are paid as a beginner, is most of the information that they teach you in the paid courses can be found for free online. So simply just
Before we go into the different kind of courses, we'll take a small break and we will take two questions for the check bouncing matter. One is a very interesting. This thing is, uh, if the chairman has issued a check, chairman of the cooperative housing society has issued a check and it gets bounced to discharge the legal liability, but later on he resigns. Is he liable?
By the chairman during the course of his tenure in the cooperative sector when he was duly authorized person to issue the check. So his liability, once secured, that remains his last. Once a liability, always a liability. He can't escape from the liability simply because he has resigned. This theory is adopted. He may use it as manipulation. First of all, he will issue the check, and in order to discharge the liability, he will later on resign. And getting off the check, the to pay the bona fide holder would be.
Okay, and then there is one more question is if there is a check in the hand of the secretary deposit and it gets bounced,
The head of secretary and his boss, okay.
right? He has received a check, maybe of the member or for any other purpose, and it gets bounced.
Check in the hands of the secretary or the member or the chairman's, ipso facto, don't create any entitlement in favor of the office bearer. The only pay out to be the cooperative society itself. They are just the representative of society, but they are not the
But now,
pay itself.
yeah, but now what happens? He files a complaint.
Yeah.
He files a complaint, right? And then after 3 years, his terms gets over. The new secretary takes the charge. Then who will be the complainant and who will go to the court in that case?
That is a settled law. That is the golden maximum of law. The person who later on take the charge of the society, he put into the shoes of the original one. But here the question is different. Whether the secretary itself is a pay or not, is not a pay. Only the society itself is a pay.
Yeah. So that anyone can then now what will happen during the cross and
if the check is in the favor of the society ABC, the complaint under section 138 would be filed in the name of the society ABC through secretary. But if the check is in the name of the secretary, that ipso facto is a null and void check.
no, it will be in the name of the society only. But the secretary keeps on changing.
It makes no difference.
It won't make any difference. But how we will depose during the cross and during the examination and chief, because there will be a separate secretaries. Now, suppose if I, as a secretary, I give the examination and in chief, and then my term gets over and the new secretary comes. Now he will have to give the cross.
Coin has the two sides. the settled law that the person who come into the witness box as a witness and who use the evidence, he must be acquainted and aware of the transaction persons. But so far the society is concerned, I think the check must have been issued against it, legal discharge liability and on the basis of the certain documents that is pertaining with the society. Those are the part and forming part and parcel of the record. If the document clearly shows the liability of the then he can't escape.
Fine. So now we'll go back again to our topic on ethical hacking, and cyber crime. Now there is a very thin line, because many people think that ethical hacking is also a crime, and now many people wants to do because it's a high-paying job recently.
Yeah.
Now, so if suppose today I decide, or somebody else like you want to decide that I want to become an ethical hacker, so what are the opportunities available? What will be the pay scale, and how there are courses available, and how to go about it?
Yeah.
Give us a
Sure.
in-depth knowledge about this.
Okay, so the first thing is after you've got your fundamentals good, it usually takes, depending on your learning pace, it might take like 1, 2 weeks or a month. At most, it might take a month if you constantly do it. So after that, another question is where do you learn it from? So a lot of people they directly jump into the books. So they purchase Art of Hacking Exploitation. There's this one famous book, and they simply just keep on reading books and books and books. They eventually get bored because they're not doing anything practical, and that's a horrible way of learning hacking, which is just reading theory. As a beginner, I believe you shouldn't put yourself in so much theory. Focus more on practical stuff. Theory can come on later. So for the practical stuff, there are different hacking platforms through which you can learn in a controlled environment. So here's this one important thing you must know. So there are a lot of people who go on YouTube, learn some hacking techniques, and then directly start attacking websites on the internet. This is not legal. It can land you in legal trouble if you're caught, and it will ruin your cybersecurity career before it even began. So that's one thing. Do not attack random websites. Even as a good person, like, okay, I'll hack them and then I'll let them know, okay, so like you were hacked, this is the way you were hacked. That's not the way. So there are some websites that allow you to test their security and report it to them. This is called bug bounty. So bug bounty is basically you look for vulnerabilities in a web application for a website. Let's say google.com. So I'm a person and I'm hacking into it and I find some exploit or a vulnerability, basically a way to like abuse the application in a way it's not intended to be. Then I can report it to Google and I can get paid. So this is another way. It's sort of freelancing. Like you hack, you find something, you report it to them, they'll pay you. So depending on how critical the bug is, Google pays usually much higher because it's much more difficult to find bugs in their websites. So they usually pay $100,000, $50,000. Even Apple has some insane amounts that they pay to bug bounty hunters. So let's set aside bug bounty for now. Since we're just a beginner, we can't just start finding bugs in Google. It's much at a later stage. So start by going to a platform named hackthebox.com. So this platform basically provides you a controlled environment where you can practically apply things and start doing the hacking stuff, which will make it much more fun for you, and it's a much better way of learning. So the way I know how the education system has told us is keep on reading, reading, reading. That's how you learn things, but that's not a really efficient way of learning things. So even computers, how we were taught are like, here's a book, read it. And for the practicals, we basically had like 1 hour of practicals, which isn't really good. So for hacking, I believe 90% of your time as a beginner should be on practical things and 10% on theory. So you actually understand, dive into the depth to understand and read on things. Okay, so this is how it's working, this is how I do it. So it's 10% reading and 90% of it is practical. So just go on hackthebox.com, sign up. There are different paths as well that are designed for you. Like there's step-by-step guides or step-by-step challenges which you can follow through to keep on learning things. So that's the simple way of like the quickest way, like how to like just dive into it. Do not overthink it. I've seen a lot of people who overthink on the goal. Like, okay, if I do this, what will I get? Can I get a job after doing this? No, that's not a way you approach this. If you have that mindset, I'm sorry to say, hacking isn't for you. It's not a rush game like you just go in over blah 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 1 year and I can now just get a 2, 3, 4 lakh job. No, that's not how it works. Hacking isn't for everyone. I'm sorry to say this because you must have a persistent mindset. Persistent as in you're stuck on a problem, you're ready to be stuck on it for days, even without any. You're not even proceeding. You're just stuck on it. You're trying different things, and you're not proceeding. So that can be really frustrating for some people who are impatient, and a lot of us are. Even I was at the initial stages. I was very impatient, but that persistent and being at it for hours and hours and hours, and then finally getting the solution can give you a good adrenaline rush, and not just adrenaline rush, it actually grows you as a person. Like, for example, you're in a problem, you did not give up, kept working on it. It's a crucial skill. Like, I believe it's the only skill you need to be a good hacker. It doesn't matter, like, okay, I know these many things, I'm a good hacker. No, that's not the thing. Your ability to learn something and stay persistent to it, that's what makes you a hacker. Like you stick to something and you do not deviate from it. That's what a hacker is. Not someone who knows a lot of hacking tools or a lot of hacking techniques. Okay, I know this attack, I know this attack. That doesn't make you a good hacker. But your ability, for example, you put in a new environment where you have no idea like how it works and stuff. But how do you learn it? By like trying out different things, being persistent, doing just random things and seeing how the system works. That's what makes you a hacker, not like doing courses. There are a lot of people who keep on doing certifications upon certifications, thinking it's making them better. But that's not what this is about. Okay, it will help you get a better paying job since there are companies that value certifications for promotions and stuff and for higher roles. So I'm not saying they're completely useless. They are a good tool to have with you, but not something that you need. It's just something good to have on your resume. But yeah, something also that makes you exclusive is, for example, having a YouTube account or a blog. Let's say you learned something today in hacking. You basically wrote a blog about it. No matter how simple it is, it might motivate someone else. And it could be helpful to someone who might have been working on the same thing as you were. So that's one way of like doing this, since it makes it much more fun for you as well. Like for example, you learned something and you want to share it to the others, rather than just keeping it to yourself. So that's where the community part of it comes in as well. So it's not just about doing courses. You will have to ask for help from others. You can't do it all alone. You need to collaborate with people. I was lucky enough to have found such good friends online in the cyberspace community, with whom I started hacking. I started participating in competitions. It is very important to collaborate because without that, you will just stay within your own shell. You won't really push yourself harder. That's where friends come in. So that's why friends are really important here in the cyberspace community. So to join the communities, you can simply just install Discord app. I believe most of the youths will have it. There are different servers, or you can call it WhatsApp groups. So these are huge WhatsApp groups with about like two, three, ten thousands of people just chatting or talking on about hacking. Engage with them. You might learn something from the other person, and you might even share something that the other person does not know. There's no one that knows everything. You need to also be humble with yourself. There are a lot of people who do a little bit of hacking and they think they know a lot. That's where the ego comes in. It's also known as the Dunning-Kruger effect, where you've gained a little bit of experience and you think you're the smartest, but in fact you're not. You should always humble yourself and tell yourself that you do not know anything yet, and keep on learning. It's a never-ending. I would say it's a never-ending cycle. You keep on learning. There's no such thing like a pro hacker. So you are always a doer, you're always a student. Keep on learning, 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 learning. It's a never-ending goal since the technology is advancing at a rapid stage. New things are coming out, new softwares are coming out, new devices are coming out. You need to stay updated with these things on how can you should learn about them. How are hackers studying these things? So this is most important thing. It's not just about doing courses. Doing courses will just bore you. Start by applying things on the Hack the Box platform. I can assure you, it's more than enough to just do that and engage in their community. You will end up becoming a really good hacker. Trust me on that one, because I've seen a lot of people from my friend circles and within the community itself advance so much by just playing in those. Basically, these are competitions of hacking where there are people who are attempting to solve a cybersecurity challenge, and every like there might be thousands of people on the same day trying to hack into it. And the first one to hack into it gets sort of a medal, which is called the first blood, and it can be really good. Like for example, it can be very reputable thing. Like, of course, people like to be respected. For example, I've achieved something. I want people to say, "Oh, like that person got a medal or something. That guy was the first one to hack into this thing." That's very respectable, and it can also get you a lot of more friends as well, since now you're one of the like a better hacker. So even the noobs, or the noobs as in the people who have little to no experience, even they are attempting things. And I believe if you want to be a hacker, you should start doing this as well. Now there's the this was majorly on the red teaming part, which is the attacking part. On the blue teaming, which is the defending, I have no knowledge on that, since I myself have majorly focused on the attacking part. Since the defensive part, I found it extremely boring. Then it's like it you're basically setting, you're monitoring stuff, you're checking for okay, has someone hacked me or not. That's not really fun. Like our human instincts, there's some evil inside us which makes it much more fun to hack into something. Like breaking things can be really fun sometimes, and exploiting as well. So I believe majority of the people, even in the cyber space, are much more interested in the attacking part.
Yeah. So now it's blue and the red. It's like white blood cells in our body and red blood cells in the body. So one is becomes active when we they have to defend. So similarly in hacking also you have a blue team and a red team. Now there is one question put it on my WhatsApp chat that what motivated you to become a
Okay, that's a good question. Well, as a child, like while I used to play games and stuff, so there were things like, for example, there's a very tough level, or you want to get an extra edge over the opponent. Like, for example, there's someone in your opponent team, like multiplayer games, he's just better at you at the game. So how can you not like beat him? Of course, you could spend countless hours improving on that game and then beating that person. But hey, who's gonna spend so much hours just beating that other person? So that's where hacking comes in. Like I used to think, like, is there a way so people usually call it game cheating, but it's actually called game hacking. You basically find a way to, for example, hack that game to give you a competitive edge. For example, my health bar by default at maximum is 100, even the other person's 100. But what if I was to make it 1000? Now I have like 10 times more health than the opponent. So that was the first stage for me where I was introduced to hacking using simple. I was just a script kiddie, what they call in the hacking community, where you're just using tools made by other people. I was not a professional or stuff. I was just basically using stuff from written by other people. Then after that, uh, I met some friends on Discord, which is the cybersecurity community. I was just looking into hacking, like, okay, what's going on? And this was during the COVID period where everyone was locked in. So I was extremely bored just sitting at home. So I was just on my laptop, and I met one of my friend, who's actually 2 years younger than me, and he's from Romania. He kept on insisting, come on, let's start hacking. And eventually I was like, okay, let's do it. So we then got into this ETF stuff, and at first it used to be really frustrating since I used to get stuck on really simple things. I thought I was good at hacking, but yeah, it was really humbling for me. So that's where how I started, basically from the game hacking stuff, and then eventually from the persistent behavior from my friend. But before that, before getting into hacking, I was actually thinking of being a game developer, which is basically like making games. But who knows? I landed into ethical hacking.
okay. Now there is one more question which has come up. The question is that there is a game, poker game,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm a hacker, can I hack that machine and make more money?
Yeah. So, for example, I've seen this plenty of ads on like Rugby Circle and stuff. So there are like they're playing poker with like real money. So yeah, it is definitely possible, but it is illegal and it's an unethical thing to do where you're basically It's obviously still unethical to like be playing broker. So yeah, it is possible that you could hack into their servers and manipulate the game to, for example, you keep on winning money and money and money. That way you can make a lot of money. But yeah, that's where ethics come in. It's a very unethical thing to do, and you're basically cheating yourself in life. And yeah, but the answer is yes, it is possible.
Yes. So the last question is again on the check dishonor. The question is related to a check bounce. The accused dies while the appeal is pending. The post sentencing but was found liable by the trial court to pay a fine and compensation. The question is whether the deceased accused wife or children are liable to face any legal liability.
But I don't understand the question. The accused was convicted during the course of the trial in the court under section 130. After that, he asserted the validity of that order in appellate court. And I think he's died during the pendency of
During the pendency of the appeal, yes.
If he's died during the pendency of the appeal, the liability of the legal years not reduced, not minimized, or not turned over. Because if we take it on the in the terms of law of jurisprudence, it is settled law कि the offence is died with the death of the offender. Offender गया तो उसका offence भी गया. But so far the 138 is concerned that it is neither a purely criminal nor purely a civil. It is a quasi-criminal and quasi-civil. The ultimate purpose of the complainant is to recover his money. He is concerned to put behind the accused behind the bar. So in this scenario, the Bombay High Court in one of the cases, if I am not forgetting the name, Shafuddin versus Jugraj Singh, specifically in that case, the Bombay High Court held that if in that case the wife was the accused of the deceased. So Bombay High Court held that if the wife is inherited the property, movable and immovable property of his husband, why she can be escaped from the liability of discharge. So in that case, it was specifically held that after the death of the deceased, conviction is confirmed. The legal heirs, whether that is a wife or son, are liable. But it is further, if I elaborate, it is a further question of mixed question of fact and law. Because every case is decided on three factors. First, sole question of law. Second, mixed question of law and fact. And third, question of purely fact. In this case, the Bombay High Court held that was the question of mixed question of facts and law, because the wife has inherited the property. But in each and every scenario where the accused is supposed to die, he left the property or he had not left the single property, then the position would be quite different in that scenario.
So it will be on a case-to-case basis. So before we end, I want to thank Mohammad Naqvi, who is young, intelligent, dashing, handsome, and has a very experience about ethical hacking and how he started his career. So there is a lot of money, but there is some dangers into it. So you have to watch this video 2 or 3 times before you think that you want to become an ethical hacker. I want to thank Advocate Vinod Chabra also for taking his precious time coming here and sharing his knowledge about the check bounce matters. And he is the author of the Check Law Reporter, and it is a very deep knowledge which if you buy and if you go through the book, you will have a very deep knowledge about how to handle the check dishonor cases. And I want to thank Mohammad Afzal also for coming every Saturday, and he is the one who is organizing the speakers, and he is the one who is coordinating with the cameraman and all, and that's how we are live on the YouTube. So it's a team effort. So I thank each and every one of who are present here. So stay tuned to our channel for more updates on legal matters that affect you. If you find this video informative, then like, subscribe, and share with your contacts and friends for more engaging content on legal issues. See you again in the next video with a new topic. Till then, take care, stay blessed, be safe, and remain healthy.